All right, buddy, I'm gonna go get dinner. He'll probably fix himself dinner while I'm gone. He usually makes himself eggs. You good? I'll be back soon, okay? Actually, I want to try one of those like vehicle driving away scenes where I have to awkwardly leave the camera outside. Let's see how this looks. Well, that was the most awkward thing I think I've ever had to do. Might look better with music. Maybe put some kind of like a title, like a TV show from the 90s across the screen. Anyway, I'm going to get dinner right now, and that reminded me about, I don't know why it reminded me of basic training today. Well, let's talk about some of the things you can expect to eat in basic training. All right, I'm filming inside the cabinet because I got nowhere else to prop up the phone. But as far as food and BMT, obviously you're going to have 3 meals a day. I'm going to try to go through this pretty quick because there's not too much to say about it, but I know it's something I wondered about. You're going to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day. And breakfast typically is, if you're on the summer PT schedule, which is most of the year in San Antonio, you're going to eat breakfast at about, say about 7 a.m. because PT runs about 6:40 or so, 6:45. And then if you're not going to shower right before breakfast, you're going to go straight to breakfast. And I remember we used to be drenched in sweat. Breakfast pretty much stayed the same, so you'd have so much selection, but zero time or ability really to look around, because when you get your food, you I'll show you what you have to do. You got your tray down right here, and you got your hands down the whole time, and you're sidestepping with your tray and your hands on your tray, so you're like dragging your tray with you. If you start looking around or taking your time, they light you up because they're walking around the whole time. So I used to grab just kind of whatever I saw and mix it all together. So they'd have in the mornings, they had these whole wheat pancakes, which are absolutely disgusting, but I guess you gotta stay healthy. They had biscuits and gravy. They had tons of fruit, scrambled eggs. I can't remember. Cereal, tons of cereal. It's where I discovered Crave, that cereal. Apparently that was like everybody's favorite cereal while I was down there. I also discovered I'm not lactose intolerant like I thought I was, because one day I just wanted cereal so bad and they only had regular milk, and I was taught my whole life that I was lactose intolerant since I was a kid. So I just kind of was like, whatever, and I put the regular milk in there, nothing happened. The next day I tried more, nothing happened. It's a miracle. I also had coffee. However, the coffee was by what we call the snake pit, and that's where all the MTIs sit. So nobody would really get coffee usually because it was right in front of them, and typically if the closer you got to them, your chances of getting yelled at for something increased. So I didn't see many people get coffee. You have to have 2 glasses of fluids as well, at minimum, is at least what it was when I was there. And if I remember correctly, 2 of them had to be water, and then you could get a juice on top of that if you wanted. So I typically got those 2 waters and a juice. And I don't know why, when I first got there, I had the hardest time chugging those 2 glasses of water. I remember my first meal in basic training was lunch. So it was pretty much 36 hours of being awake, and then coming into lunch was our first full meal. And your first meal, they really try to kind of create that stressful environment. So there's a lot of yelling. Plus, you don't know how the procedures work and everything. I'll never forget seeing this girl, because you're not supposed to look up while you're eating, but I happened to look up, and I saw this girl projectile vomiting because she'd eaten so quickly, drank so quickly, and she just, and what shocked me the most was some MTI yelled, "Quit throwing up in my DFAC!" And they told her to run outside and keep doing her thing. And we just kept eating because yeah. Oh, they had this raisin bread, and towards later on in the weeks, I got a little more edgy, and I used to take the time to put butter on that bread. Phenomenal. Lunch. So lunch typically, oh gosh, if I remember, it was like around 11 or noon, and that varied. A lot of fish. There was always fish, a lot of chicken. Kind of the standard fish chicken, and then every now and then they would have these some kind of barbecue spare ribs. They were pretty good. Garlic bread. I also forgot to mention the salad bar, which I always skipped over. There's tons of salad options from, I don't know my lettuces, but I would venture to assume that there were many variations of the lettuce there. I just don't eat any salad, so I wouldn't know. There's no soda, and that killed me, because I live off of soda, and that's subsequently why, as you might have seen in my last video, that PT's been a struggle lately. But it was actually really good for me. The first time I did have soda after 2 months, it rocked my world. For lunch, they had Gatorade, but I remember it was really sugary, so I never really drank the Gatorade. I just stuck to my 2 glasses of water. But in essence, lunch is basic meats. Oh, rice. There'd be rice sometimes, noodles. That's pretty much all I can remember about lunch. There were desserts, and this is where it depends on where you go, which if you go in the old dorms, the new dorms, also your squadron. So the squadron I was in, the 324th, they were really lax about dessert. So it's at an end cap, at least where we were, the very end of the line. And they'd have like pudding, banana cake. They had little cheesecakes sometimes. In the first 2 weeks, I stared at them and I was afraid to get them. My second week in, we had to do details, and you'll have to do that too. And our detail was working the chow hall. We got dessert while we were there, and after that day, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try to get dessert again because I had that banana cake, and it was pretty freaking good. So from second week all the way through the rest of my time there, I got dessert every meal, and I was never stopped. However, I heard from other people in other squadrons that every time they went up to get dessert, which is close to the snake pit, they were asked like a challenge question or something like that, or they got grilled, and they kind of deterred people from wanting to get dessert. But I had dessert every meal, and I was happy. Dinner, I always look forward to dinner the most because I've never been hungrier in my entire life than I was during basic training, because you're just expending all these calories all the time. So it was over 100 every day that I was there, and with the heat index and the humidity is pretty high there. It was probably like 307 degrees, so I was always hungry. And dinner, it varied once again. They had your fish and your chicken. It's been a minute, so I don't remember every meal. I just remember that it was good. If you take away anything from this video, they will give you a lot of food. However, again, that time limit to eat, there's no set time. I guess that was a rumor. I thought they would time you like 90 seconds ago. I want to guess it wasn't more than 5 minutes or so. I also remember there were those little ice cream cups. I never got one because that was like pretty much at the snake pit. Like the little individual ones you had in like middle school. Never got one of those, at least not during basic training. So I guess somebody at some point had finally, or I guess enough people had finally said something that from dinner to the time we go to bed, people would still get really hungry. So they give you protein bars about halfway between dinner and lights out. And each flight or each squadron seems to do it differently. We had to grab ours during dinner, and you had to keep it on you, and you were not allowed to eat it until you were cleared to eat it by your MTIs. That was usually at like, I don't know, 7 or 8 p.m. They clear us to eat it. Still hungry afterwards, but I used to look forward to that so much. So essentially that's pretty much it. So the food is really good. Just eat quickly. I used to wrap a lot of things in bread. So I'd have like chicken and fish and rice and whatever else I grabbed and rolled it up into like a taco and ate it like that. And I was just happy to eat. And I learned that if you can't eat quickly, which was me before I left, you'll figure out how to do it because you'll be hungry enough. So I know that was kind of quick. Let me know if you have any more questions about food or how things run the DFAC. Oh, and make sure you subscribe. I don't know much about YouTube, but I checked that analytics thing a couple days ago, and I guess only, what was it, 2% of the people who watch my videos are subscribed. So if you can, subscribe. I usually hate it when people say that in videos, but